Satnam, yogis and yoginis, hello, welcome back to one more video. Thank you for being here and watching. I know there is so much offer, so many videos in YouTube, and you could have clicked anywhere, but you clicked on this one, and I appreciate that. And let me tell you, we are going to be talking today about alternate nostril breathing, which sometimes is called Anuloma Viloma, sometimes Nadi Shodhana. I think there is a difference between those. I will talk about it in a minute. This is a series of videos that I'm doing on the Kundalini awakening, and in the last one that you can see in the channel, it was I was reading on the Hathapradipika or Hadipika. I'm not sure how to pronounce it very well. I was reading how it says that in order to awaken the Kundalini, first you need to balance it on pingala, and you need to purify Sushumna, and this process is best done with the practice of alternate nostril breathing. So let's take a look at that. Let me just show first, this is the book that I was reading in the last video. And here you can see, it says the pure-hearted yogi should regularly practice the pranayam in which the impurities in the Sushumna Nadi are removed. And it talks about, drawing in the breath through the Chandra, the left nostril. Chandra means the moon. Having retained it according to his capacity, should exhale through Surya, that's the right nostril. So this is inhaling, holding, and exhaling, and alternating the breaths, the nostrils. There is a comment here in the book. It talks about how sometimes it's called Anuloma Viloma. Yeah. So this is the practice we're going to talk about, and we're going to practice it together. First of all, this alternating the nostrils, as it says, is Chandra and Surya. It talks about the moon and the sun, because the left side of ourselves, that's the feminine, that's the cold energy, more yin energy, and the right nostril, it's a more masculine, a more yang, more heat energy. I talked about this also in another video, relaxation and activation, stress, and vitality. And if you are interested, you can also go watch that one. And I mentioned about the alternate nostril breathing in that video. So today we're going to actually go into the practice. So what is the idea? The idea is that throughout the day there is a certain rhythm in which the body is changing which nostril is predominant. Sometimes we're on the left, sometimes we're on the right, and generally this pattern is being repeated throughout the day every 2.5 hours. This is what is called a ultradian rhythm. It's not circadian. Circadian would be once per day, like the rhythm of going to bed and sleeping and waking up in the morning. And ultradian is a number of times during the day. So this is an ultradian rhythm in which every 2.5 hours we change the nostril which is active. Now, changing the nostril is not just affecting the breath, this is affecting everything in ourselves. And the body does this naturally. How does the body do this? Well, through regulating the passage of airflow through the nostrils. I have a little picture to show you here. Blip. So this is a CT scan, computerized tomography of a scan of a person. So this is the eyes, this is the nose, and within the nose there is this area here. In the membranes of the inside the nostril, there is erectile tissue. It's kind of like the penis or the clitoris, which fills with blood. And when it fills with blood, it closes the passage of air, partially or completely, through one of the nostrils and activates the other. So right now this one is closed, this one is open. As you can see, there's more airflow through this nostril. And after 2.5 hours, this would switch. And for a few minutes, it's doing the change. And then you have this one closed and then this one predominant. And that's happening continuously. And this is something that the yogis have spoken about for probably thousands of years. Actually, this alternate nostril breathing is one of the oldest practices that we can see in yogic texts. So we practice it in modern practice, but probably goes back thousands of years. It's one of these old things like sun salutations and other things that we have seen for a long time, and it's very common to many different traditional and modern branches of yoga. So being it something that unites us all, I'm interested about that because I'm interested in yoga. Yoga means unite. So some practice that unites many different kinds of yoga, that's interesting for me. And, appearing in very classical and old texts like Hatha Yoga Pradipika, that's very interesting. Now, every 2 hours and a half, so we change the nostril. And when we are in the left one is more active, then we are more into a relaxed state, maybe more ready for digestion, for resting. When we are in the right one, we are more in a fiery energy, so more for activity, for doing activities. So this is interesting to know. If you are aware of which nostril is active in you, then you can choose what kind of activities do you do during the day according to what your predisposition is. This is typical when you are sitting and then you are working and you are very calm and relaxed and focused, and suddenly you feel restless and you want to stretch, you want to get up, you want to go eat something, and you want to move. You don't know why, but if you were paying attention to your nostrils, you probably switch from the left to the right, and then the right asks you to do some activity. So if we could have the wisdom of knowing ourselves throughout the day, we could be choosing what kind of activities to do during which time, so that we act accordingly. No? So like I was talking in the other video, if you want to go to sleep, you want to go to bed, and if you are in the right nostril, that's going to be difficult to fall asleep, and you may be turning and tossing and turning in the bed for hours, 2 hours and a half, maybe even, depending on where you are in the cycle, until finally the nostril changes and then you can fall asleep. So why being 2 hours in the bed turning around if you are not ready to go to sleep? Either change the nostril consciously or do something else. No? Maybe we will talk about sleep some other time. In any case, alternating the nostril means that you close one and then you breathe through the other, and you are stimulating that energy, the left one or the right one. And in the nostril, you inhale through one, exhale through the other. I will explain the technique in a minute. But first, let me say, what does modern science have to say about this? I am a scientist myself, so I was very interested to find what kind of research has been done on this topic. And there's actually a lot. There's dozens of papers. And, I couldn't read all of them. So I read a few. There was one that was very commented. There were many comments on that paper, but I just couldn't get to it. It was an open, free in the internet, and I tried to buy it from Elsevier journal publications, but I somehow it didn't work, even though I logged in and all that. So I cannot check that one. But there is a lot of reports on these many different papers that it has many benefits. Doing alternate nostril breathing for a number of minutes every day. And they do these control tests. So they put actual yogis who are used to doing this practice and regular people who have never done it, but they teach them how to do it, and then some control group which don't do it, and then check the effects on the people, and they notice. And even for the people who are not adept to yoga, who have never done it before, and they just learn how to do it, it has a significant effect, a statistically significant effect, which means that it could not be a coincidence, for decreasing anxiety, reducing blood pressure, calming down, stabilizing the heart rate variability, and stimulating rest and digestion, and balancing the hemispheres of the brain, the left and the right. So many, many benefits that it's quite incredible when we have a technique that is thousands of years old from yogis, which is unusual, something you have to do with the breath. Controlling the breath, you control your brain. With the brain, control the whole system. So that's very interesting. I'm going to show one study. As I said, there is dozens of them. If anybody is interested, you can just do a little search in Google and you will find a lot of stuff. I'm not going to quote all of them, but I will put the name of the website where this study is in the description of this video below. This is actually the first study I saw on this topic. Probably it's not the first one that was made, but that was the first one I saw when I was researching Yoga Nidra and other interesting things. I came upon this website, the Scandinavian Yoga and Meditation School, and that was very, very interesting. And I remember reading this paper and I was like, ooh, this is really cool, because it appeals my right hemisphere of the brain, which is meditative yoga, and the left hemisphere of my brain, which is the scientific analytic mind, and it explains many things. So they do an experiment with electroencephalogram. So they put sensors on the surface of the head and they sense the brain waves. And I will put the link below so you can check, you can read all of it. And it's talking about how there is different brain waves and also studying which of the hemispheres is more active. Maybe it's relevant to talk about the brain waves, because then you will understand what we are seeing in the diagrams below. It says that the brain waves that interest are the most are the alpha waves, 8 to 13 oscillations per second, that's hertz. They are mostly to be found when the person has closed eyes, is mentally relaxed but still awake and able to experience. When the eyes are opened or the person is distracted in some other way, the alpha waves are weakened and there is an increase on the faster beta waves. This is describing the general disposition of humans. This is not about the experiment. When there is beta, so we are more distracted and more active and working in the world. When we are alpha, we are more meditative or resting. Yeah. So with beta, the brain is activated. The amount of alpha waves therefore shows to what degree the brain is in a state of relaxed awareness. When the beta waves are predominant, we, to a great extent, think and act habitually. Yeah? When the alpha waves, on the other hand, show that the brain is in a more open and creative state, with a better contact with emotions and the subconscious. So there is lots of studies also with EEGs, studying how a person brain signature pattern changes as we meditate, and they show that during meditation the alpha waves increase quite a lot. So this, you can read the whole study if you wish. Let me show they explain what I just explained, how they did the tests, and this is the ratio between the left and right hemisphere, but I think it will be easier if we just see this image. No, it's not very high resolution, this image, but I believe we can see anyway the idea. Before Nadi Shodhana, this is the beta waves, I believe. Wait a second. The central pictures on the central figures on the picture, see the arrows. Okay, these arrows show the alpha activity. Okay, this is the alpha activity before and after Nadi Shodhana. If you compare this, you see that after Nadi Shodhana, the amount of alpha waves in the right brain has increased. So you see from here to here. So a cooler color, that means less activity. More red color means more activity. So there has been an increase in alpha waves, quite strong increase. Yeah. And the balance between the brain halves has improved. So if you look before and after, you will see this red on this left area of the brain. That means that we are most active in the left hemisphere. Even right now, as I'm speaking and you are listening and you are activating your brain to try to understand what I'm saying, the part of the brain that you're activating, that's your left hemisphere, which is the analytical and the logical and rational. And our society has a predominant tendency to promote the left hemisphere thinking. The way schools are designed, the way education has been designed, is to promote left hemisphere thinking. So it's natural that in a natural, regular state, we find a more activity, a greater activity on the left hemisphere of the brain. But after the Nadi Shodhana, you can find a balance between the two. That's interesting. Another thing is interesting here, which is that the beta, I was saying this is beta, has also increased. Now remember, beta is the functions, the waves when we are very active in the world. So it's interesting that after Nadi Shodhana, not only you are more meditative, creative, and relaxed, but you are also aware and awake, ready for action. So it's not just relaxing you but putting you to sleep, but it's actually stimulating the creativity in you and getting you ready for whatever task you have to do. So after a practice of alternate nostril breathing, you would be more awake, more aware, ready for what you have to deal with, and also be more creative and in contact with your intuitive sides. So that shows how interesting this practice could be, right? You could do it even, for example, before an exam. If you're in university and you have exams and you know how important they are, you risk 6 months of work or 4 months of work in one little exam for 2 hours, and you can get very nervous from this on these things, because it's a big gamble, and some people get paralyzed and they get their head goes blank. So something you can do is this. Just, the exam is in front of you, they just give it to you, you have 2 hours, but why not dedicate 3-5 minutes just to balance yourself? You can imagine in the middle of university, just, I'm fine, I'm just doing some yoga, getting ready for the exam. Everybody panicking, and you are like just calmly cool down, relax, and activate the brain, activate the creativity, your memory, everything, so that you are ready for the task at hand. So that's a little tip for you, in case anybody needs it. So this is the scientific studies proving what the yogis were saying. Now the yogis were saying much more than the science has still to catch up. There's still a lot to be demonstrated through scientific means. The part that we are interested about concerning what the Hatha Yoga Pradipika talks about is how through this alternate nostril breathing, because you are stimulating Ida, Pingala, Ida, Pingala, Ida, Pingala, then what happens is that the brain is getting balanced, as we saw in the pictures, but also the energies in the body are getting balanced. Now when Ida and Pingala get balanced, Sushumna wakes up. And then this practice also cleans the nadis, particularly the Sushumna Nadi. It's called Nadi Shodhana, and then the Kundalini can wake up and can rise. This practice is not so much to wake the Kundalini up. For that, we have another breath, which is the breath of fire or similar ones, and we will do this in some other video. But this one is to balance the Ida and Pingala and to awaken Sushumna. So I hope that's pretty clear. And let's go into the actual practice of it. Let's see how this is done. So closing the nostrils, this is not done from below like this. It's from the side, pressing on the side of the flap, on this flap of the nostril. And the thumb fits pretty well, and then some of the fingers fit pretty well on the other. It's generally done with the right hand. And the way my mantra teacher, Masmare, taught me, this is like electricity. And your hand, with the mudra of the treks, Star Trek, these hands are like the poles of electricity. So negative, positive, and neutral. Neutral goes to earth, and you use positive and negative to control. We know that every finger has particular energy, and from Chinese medicine, we know there's different meridians passing through them, which go to different organs. So I would say that probably controlling the breath with different fingers would have different effects on us. I'm just saying that traditionally, the way it would be taught, it would be with this, or with a little one, but generally like this. So I'm going to recommend to do it like this. Now there is a variation, which is when the other two fingers are pressed on the third eye. I believe this is a different practice, but I have seen this in what they call Anuloma Viloma. Okay, these are all forms of alternate nostril breathing. One would be called Anuloma Viloma, the other one Nadi Shodhana. In Anuloma Viloma is when I've seen that they generally put their fingers here. But now this is going to stimulate a lot the third eye. So I'm not necessarily convinced that this is what you want when you want to balance the two sides and awaken Sushumna. It could be, because in the third eye, this chakra has two petals, and one is Chandra and one is Surya, and we were just reading Hatha Yoga Pradipika that talks exactly about this, balancing the two. So it could be that is that, but I believe that when you are doing this, or at least in my experience, a lot of energy goes up to the third eye. And when we are doing this in preparation for the Kundalini, what we want is energy to balance itself and awaken the energy in the lower levels, the lower chakras. And then you want to mix prana and apana and all that I already explained in the other video. So by putting the fingers here, I think it's more like entering into a meditative state in which the brains, the hemispheres of the brains are balanced, and so you enter into a special state. So I would do this as a different practice, more, and I say it sometimes appears as Anuloma Viloma. Now in Anuloma Viloma, another characteristic is that there's often no holding. There could be holding of the breath, but often there is not. While in Nadi Shodhana, you would hold the breath. So you inhale, you hold, and you exhale. Generally, you begin on the left side, so you would close the right nostril with the thumb. I don't know if the image you see me mirrored or not, but just listen to my words rather than what you see. You would close the right nostril, and then you inhale through the left. And you inhale very deep. And then you close and hold the breath. And then you release on the right. Now here you can also hold without breath or not. And then inhale again. And then hold. And then exhale through the first nostril, the left one. This is better if you are not with a cold. If you have the flu or a cold, it's going to be difficult, so make sure that you clean your nose beforehand. A few comments then. So we always start from the left. We go from the left, inhale, exhale right, exhale left. And a good way to remember is, I imagine that I am drawing on a piece of paper. Imagine that you want to draw a line and you never lift the pen from the paper. So you left to the other side, to the third eye, to the other side, to the third eye, to the other side. So you always know where to inhale, which is the last nostril that you exhaled through. Also, when I'm inhaling, you can think of the breath going towards the third eye. So, and then down into your body, and then exhaling also from the third eye. So this idea of merging or meeting in the third eye, again, is going to be balancing, because the third eye is the balancing of Ida and Pingala. What are the proportions for that? So how much inhale, how much exhale? I would say at the first, you can just get used to the movement and just do it comfortably. And in any case, you shouldn't do it to such an extent that you are running out of breath. So you should always feel like, extend your capacity, but not to the point where you are like anxiety rises. You shouldn't feel any anxiety rising. Also, you shouldn't need to stop every now and then to do a few breaths and then come back to doing it. So how much time you use to hold the breath and to breathe should be comfortable enough that you can hold it. And slowly this time will probably get longer. Now, the proportion for the inhale, the holding, and the exhale and the holding, it can be done in a number of ways. One way to do this is the same proportion. So, for example, you inhale 8 seconds, hold 8 seconds, exhale 8 seconds, hold without breath 8 seconds. I said holding without breath, you can do it or not, it's your choice. But then you could do it like 8-8-8, for example, 8-8-8, 8-8-8, 8-8-8. Inhale, hold, exhale, inhale, hold, exhale. I have to say now, before I carry on with this explanation, if any of you ladies is pregnant right now, congratulations. But don't hold the breath. Just do the alternate breathing without holding the breath. You would also not do strong mula bandhas, so in the practice of bandhas, you wouldn't do it when you are pregnant. You can just do alternate nostril breathing without the holding. Now in Nadi Shodhana, to clear and to purify the nadis, we will generally want to hold. If you want to do the full practice, you would hold without air as well. And when you do it like this, the same number of seconds to inhale, to hold, exhale, and to hold, then that's what is called samavriti. Samavriti is the same movement, no? Samavriti. So this would be same to inhale, same to hold, same to exhale, same to hold without breath. And this is a lovely practice to do. And you can do 8 or 10 seconds. If you just do that, that means that one full breath is going to be 40 seconds, which is really good because we tend to breathe around 16 times per minute. Anything that goes lower than that is actually quite healthy. It is said in some yogic texts, it is impossible to be angry and to breathe 4 times per minute. So if you are feeling like anger or some deep emotion is rising and you do slow your breath to 4 times per minute, 4 times per minute, the emotions dissipate. And even imagine if you lowered it to 2 per minute, or 1 breath per minute, which is inhale 20 seconds, hold 20, exhale 20. This is actually a very healthy yogic breath that you can experiment with. So when you're doing samavriti pranayama, you would do that. Inhale 1, hold 1, exhale 1, and hold without breath 1. 1 would be the ratio that you always do. And this 1 could be 8 seconds, 10 seconds, or something similar. In many books, it is written as a 1-1-1 or 1-1-1-1 ratio, meaning that you inhale 1 what? It's not 1 second, it's 1 mantra. And traditionally, this practice would be done with the Gayatri mantra. The classical Gayatri mantra, that the way it appears, I think it's in the Vedas, would be Om Bhurbhuva Swat Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat, and then you hold the breath. Om Bhurbhuva Swat Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Exhaling, chant internally. Om Bhurbhuva Swat Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. And then hold without breath again 1 more time. So it's 1 Gayatri to inhale, 1 to hold, 1 to exhale, 1 without breath. And you are not only balancing the hemispheres of the brain and your energies, but you are also stimulating yourself with the Gayatri. You are chanting the Gayatri, which is wonderful. In the yogic texts, when they talk about Swara Yoga, they say how the left nostril is cooling, like Chandra the moon, the right nostril is heat, like the sun, Surya. But what happens when we are changing from one to the next? As I said, every 2 hours and a half it changes, but during 4 minutes more or less, we are breathing through both at the same time. Actually, what I said before, generally we are more predominant in one or the other, and you can just check, you just pay attention to it and you will notice, or you can close one and see how easily do you breathe through one nostril or the other, and you will notice most of the times one is more predominant than the other. But every 2 hours and a half, for 4 minutes, more or less, both are equal, both are balanced. And this is when you should just meditate. There's nothing good comes out of just doing actions in those minutes. This is when you should be in a meditative state, and rather than that, you try to do things and then you kick the glass and the glass falls and there's water everywhere, or you stub your toe in the desk or whatever. You know, you have little accidents because everything in your system is asking to close your eyes, to stimulate the alpha waves and to just meditate for a few minutes. So by stimulating actually the transition between the left and the right through the alternate nostril breathing, you are stimulating that state. So don't do the breathing while driving, okay? Don't do this breathing while you are doing some dangerous thing. Just calm down, sit, do the practice. Afterwards, you will be more awake and aware and ready to work, but not during the practice. This is a little disclaimer. I should have said that at the beginning of the video. Don't do this while driving. Well, we haven't done it yet. So this is the ratio of Samavriti would be 1-1-1-1, one Gayatri mantra. There's another ratio which is quite common. It's 1-4-2 or 1-2-2. 1-4-2, for example, would mean that you inhale for one proportion. You can say, if you are chanting Satanama, for example, instead of the Gayatri mantra, you can do that. Or one mul mantra to inhale, for example. So 1-4-2 means that you inhale one and then you hold 4 times. So you would be Satanama, then hold the breath. Satanama, 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 and then you exhale in 2. Satanama, Satanama. So that will be 1, 4 holding, and 2 exhaling. So the exhale is longer than the inhale. And then you inhale through the other nostril. So you will be inhaling, holding 4, exhaling 2. Inhale 1, hold 4, exhale 2, inhale 1, hold 4, exhale 2. And different proportions, different ratios. 1-4-2 is different from 1-1. And it's different from 1-2. And there's a whole science of yogic science of these proportions and the different effects that they have on ourselves. But that's another topic. Yeah. So these are the two main things, the two main ways to practice it. How about we do a few minutes of this? We are in the half an hour mark, but we can do a few minutes of this alternate nostril breathing. I hope you tune in before this video, and if you want to practice with me, I recommend that you tune in. And we're going to do this Samavriti today. And we're going to do it, instead of the Gayatri, we're going to do it with the Mul mantra. You can do it with any mantra you wish. You can choose. I'm going to do it today with the Mul mantra. We're going to inhale 1, hold 1, exhale 1, hold without breath 1. So let's get ready for that. And start by preparing the mudra. And, left positive and neutral to the ground. Use your other hand if you need it to help you. Then close the right nostril and inhale deep through the left. And then exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Exhale through the left. And we're going to begin. Begin inhaling through the left. Ekonkar Satnam Kartapurak Nirvo Nirvera Kalmurat Ajuni Saibang Prasajap Sajugat Sat Hevi Sanana Sivisat. Hold the breath. Ekonkar Satnam Kartapurak Nirvo Nirvera Kalmurat Ajuni Saibang Prasajap At Sajugat Sat Hevi Sanana Sivisat. Exhale to the right. Ekonkar Satnam Kartapurak Nirvo Nirvera Kalmurat Ajuni Saibang Prasajap At Sajugat Sat Hevi Sanana Sivisat. Hold without air. Ekonkar Satnam Kartapurak Nirvo Nirvera Kalmunata Juni Saibangur Prasadja Patsa Jugat Sat Hevi Sat Nanosi Visat. Inhale to the right. Konkar Satnam Kartapurak Nirvo Nirvera Kalmunata Juni Saibangur Prasadja Patsa Jugat Sat Hevi Sat Nanosi Visat. Hold the breath. Konkar Satnam Kartapurak Nirvo Nirvera Kalmunata Juni Saibangur Prasadja Patsa Jugat Sat Hevi Sat Nanosi Visat. Exhale to the left. Ekonkar Satnam Kartapurak Nirvo Nirvera Kalmunata Juni Sarvangur Prasadja Patsa Jugat Sat Hevi Sat Nanosi Visat. Continue. Chant internally. finish the cycle that you are doing. When you finish exhaling through the left, you can stop. And inhale through both nostrils. And exhale, relax. You can open your eyes. Even if we only did a few minutes, a few breaths, you can probably feel how it was affecting you. This is just like a demonstration video, but in your practice I would suggest to do this 11 minutes or 15 minutes, something like that, and feel the effects of that. Now, this would be Nadi Shodhana and alternate nostril breathing. There is one more extra thing. You can do this without the use of the hand. Now you are not so easily closing one nostril or the other, but you can imagine, and at will, with your imagination, you can alter the predominant nostril, just with your will. But even if you don't do it, you can imagine that you are doing it. So you would sit in easy pose, just relax. You can be even in the train or the plane, or maybe preparing for the exam in the university and you don't want to use your hand. Just inhale through the left. And you imagine and you feel the breath going through the left nostril. Then you do the holding, then you exhale through the right. And then you holding, you inhale through the left. And you do it everything but mentally. So that's a valid practice as well, even though it's not the same, but it's a good meditation. And actually a very similar but variant, a variation of this practice. It's really, really, really good to learn how to meditate. Actually, this is one of the first techniques I used to teach when I was teaching a beginner's classes for meditation. This was one of the first ones I would teach, which is every day, do this, inhale through the left, exhale through the right, without holding the breath, because generally they were beginners and they were, when the holding of the breath, if you are not used to it, you could feel anxiety. So just inhale through the left, exhale through the right, with your imagination. Inhale left, exhale right, exhale left, this would be 1. And the second, inhale left, exhale right, exhale left, that's 2. Then 3, left, right, left. 4, left, right. It's a slow, it's a slow process, like, yeah. 4. Now, when the 5th one comes, rather than inhaling alternately, the 5th one, you inhale through both nostrils to the 3rd eye, and exhale through both. And then the 6th, again, left, right, left. 7, 8, slowly, I'm doing it very quickly now, but it will be slower. 9, when you get to 10, again, both nostrils. And then 11, alternate. So every multiple of 5, the 5th round, the 10th round, the 15th, 20, you would do breathing through both nostrils. But every round, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, you would do it alternate. And the idea of this is develop a commitment to stay awake and aware and sincere with yourself doing this practice. And I mean sincere because if you catch yourself on the round 5 and you are alternating, or round 6 and you forgot in the 5th one to do straight, then you should start again from the beginning. Start from round 1. And if you make any mistake, start from round 1 again. And you have to start from the beginning. And until you can do, let's say 20, it's not a lot, 20 full double breaths. It's not a lot of breaths, I'm asking, but you should do 20 with no mistakes and be very sincere, because if you make a mistake but you carry on, the mind knows that it can trick you. So then you will not do it so wholeheartedly. So commit to it, be sincere. If you make a mistake, begin again from the first one and try to do 20. And maybe in a few days you will be able to do 20, then you can increase to 25, 30, 35. When you can get to 50 easily, then you will be able to hold so much of your concentration that you don't distract. Because if you get distracted, you're going to lose the count. It can happen also, you don't know, is it 16 or 17? Which one am I now? Is it 17 or 18? If you lost the count, start from the beginning again. All right? And if you get to 50, when you get to 50, drop me a comment. Yeah? In the beginner's meditation course I used to run in Spain, we would do this. At the beginning of the course, we would start with 20. And by the end of the course, which was 10 weeks, many people would get to 50. But it's very revealing when you try to do just 20 breaths with no distraction, 20 double breaths, yeah? With no distraction. It tells you a lot about how your brain is. So, like I did in the last video, inhale, hold, press the like button, plop, and then exhale, relax. Just a silly thing. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing the space with me. And any comment, any question, write it in the comments, and I will reply. I read every comment. I don't always reply immediately, but I always reply. And so thank you very much for being here, and until next time. Naam.